Have you ever been reading the Gospels and just stopped? Because you see the name Mary, and then you see it again, and then again. It can get pretty confusing, right? It feels like a historical puzzle. Well, today, we're going to solve it. Because when we untangle all these different Marys, we uncover this incredible story about the women who are right at the heart of it all.
So let's just get right to it. Why are there so many women named Mary? I mean, was it just a coincidence? Not at all. The answer actually takes us deep into the history and culture of the time, and it all connects back to one seriously important woman from long, long before.
Okay, here's the number that unlocks this entire puzzle. You ready for this? Historians have figured out that the name Mary, or Miriam in the original Hebrew, was the most popular name for Jewish women in first-century Judea. I mean, how popular? Get this. A staggering 1 out of every 4 women, that's 25%, was named Mary. So, of course we see it everywhere, which, just brings up an even bigger question. Why? Why was this one name so incredibly beloved?
To really get the Marys of the New Testament, we have to rewind. We have to go way back in time to meet their amazing namesake. And that story starts in the Old Testament with a true giant of the faith, Miriam the prophetess. Just listen to how this verse from the prophet Micah talks about Miriam. This isn't just some casual shout-out. He lists her right alongside her super famous brothers Moses and Aaron as one of the 3 leaders God sent to free Israel. She wasn't just tagging along. She was a co-leader, a prophetess in her own right, a foundational figure. So it's really no wonder her name was so honored for centuries to come. And the name itself, Miriam, is just packed with power. Scholars have a few different ideas about what it means, but they're all pretty potent. Rebellion suggests this incredible strength and spirit. Wished for child points to this deep, profound love. So you have this powerful name carried by a national hero. It became the name that thousands of parents gave their daughters, hoping they'd live up to that amazing legacy. Okay, so now that we have that backstory, let's jump back to the New Testament and start untangling these different Marys. Now, there are at least 6 of them, but we can solve most of the puzzle by really getting to know 3 key figures. Let's think of them as the mother, the first witness, and the devoted disciple. First up, of course, is the most famous Mary of all, Mary of Nazareth, the mother of Jesus. Her story is one of incredible faith and this quiet, powerful strength. She's like the thread that runs through the entire story, from the very beginning to the very end. I mean, think about her journey. She's the young woman who so courageously says yes to God's unbelievable plan. She's the mother who gives birth in a simple stable. Later, at that wedding in Cana, it's her gentle push that leads to Jesus' first miracle. And then, in his darkest hour, who's there? She is, standing faithfully at the foot of the cross. And even after he's gone, we find her in the upper room praying right alongside the apostles. She is the constant, steady, faithful heart of the story. Next, we've got to talk about one of the most important and, let's be honest, most misunderstood figures in the entire story, Mary Magdalene. And right away, it's so important to know that name doesn't mean anything about her character. It just means she was from the town of Magdala. Her story is this incredible journey of transformation and just fierce, unwavering loyalty.
We first meet Mary Magdalene as a woman who Jesus heals. And from that moment on, she becomes one of his most dedicated followers, even helping to support his ministry financially. And like Mary the Mother, she is there for the absolute horror of the crucifixion. But her most crucial role, the one that changes everything, comes on Easter morning. She is the very first person to see the risen Jesus. And he gives her a job. Go and tell the others. Because of this singular honor, she earned this incredible title, the Apostle to the Apostles.
Okay, our third key, Mary, gives us a totally different picture of what it means to be devoted. This is Mary of Bethany, the sister of Martha and Lazarus. Her story is all about this deep, thoughtful, and personal discipleship. This one moment tells you everything you need to know about her. Her sister Martha is running around, busy with all the traditional duties of being a good host. But Mary? She chooses to sit right at Jesus' feet, taking the posture of a student learning from their rabbi. And when Martha gets upset, Jesus actually defends Mary. He says she has chosen the better part. In that culture, for a woman to be affirmed as a serious theological student, that was absolutely radical. It shows she was a true disciple. So, let's just lay it all out crystal clear. We've got Mary of Nazareth, the mother, we have Mary from Magdala, the first witness, and we have Mary of Bethany, the devoted disciple. 3 totally different women, 3 absolutely crucial roles, all sharing that same powerful name.
All right, now for the final piece of our puzzle. And this is probably the one that trips people up the most, that chaotic, heartbreaking scene at the crucifixion. This is where all the names can really start to blur together, but the Gospels actually give us all the clues we need to figure it out.
So when you put the accounts right next to each other, you can see the problem. Both Matthew and John name Mary Magdalene. No problem there. But then, Matthew mentions a Mary the mother of James and Joseph, while John mentions a Mary the wife of Clopas. So, are these 2 different women, or are they maybe the same person? And here's where it all clicks into place. Most scholars are pretty confident that these are, in fact, the exact same woman. This other Mary was just identified in 2 different ways, once by her husband, Clopas, and once by her sons, James and Joseph. She was another one of those steadfast followers who stayed right there until the very end. So that really clarifies the scene for us. So now that we've kind of met all the individual players, let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What was their collective legacy? Because this wasn't just some random collection of women with the same name. They really formed what one scholar beautifully calls a blessed alliance that was absolutely foundational to the whole story. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the name Mary was so popular because of the legendary prophetess Miriam. The women who carried that name were this diverse group: mothers, disciples, financial backers, and key witnesses. And together, this blessed alliance was there for every single pivotal moment, from the birth of Jesus to his death, to his resurrection, and to the very beginning of the church itself. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. When you realize that the story was carried forward at every single critical moment by this blessed alliance of devoted, courageous women who all happen to share one revered name, what does that tell us about the true foundations of the faith? If you found this explainer helpful, inspiring, entertaining, and informative, please share, like, and subscribe. Be sure to watch for the next upload. Thank you so much for joining me.